morning, guys. We had a bit of an epic sunset here today. It like proper gave you like Alps vibes or just somewhere skiing, really beautiful. I don't think we got above, well, at 3 o'clock, well, not even 3 o'clock, just before 3, it was still minus 2.5. So I think we'd be lucky if we never got above 0. I'm not even sure we got out of the minus figures, to be honest, which is not ideal, but hey. Oh, we're nearly there, everyone. We're nearly there. That thaw is coming. I think tomorrow, I haven't checked the weather again, but the last I saw, they said 5 degrees, and I thought, that's pretty hot, isn't it, really? I don't think we've got much over 1 or 2 degrees the whole week. So 5 degrees, we'll take that. You know when you just like need to do a big tidy up now? I need to thaw out, and then I need to do a massive tidy up, because it just sort of, when there's snow and ice and everything around, you just do the bare minimum to get through. Oh my god, evening stables takes me forever. Normally I can get it done so quickly, but at the moment it just takes me forever. Like by the time I've done several trips back and forth to the utility to get warm water for like each bucket, oh, it takes such a long time. But anyway, we're nearly there. I'm very happy about that, because I am over this. I love it, it's beautiful, and I'd love it even more if I didn't own horses in it. But I'm done, I'm finished. I'm pooped. Anyway, I finished mucking out now. I literally got to go and get some the last lot of warm water to make up feeds, and then sweep up, and then I'm done. And then go inside. I haven't quite planned my weekend yet, because being that I didn't actually get to huge amounts of work this week. This is the thing, I've actually had a pretty quiet week. I've only been doing like 1 or 2 jobs a day. I'm going to have to try and work quite a bit of the weekend, but I feel knackered. I feel like I'm like, yay, it's the weekend, I can rest. But just, it's icy and frozen. It just makes having horses a nightmare, doesn't it? Good morning. I had to start this video again because earlier I had this like sunburn redness again. I think I said in a previous vlog, I was so red. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't start a video looking like that. We are thawing. The thaw has started. It's very exciting. However, this morning we were greeted with sleet, which was just, I was like, poor equestrians, horse riders, grooms. We've been, dealing with all the ice, the snow, the freezing conditions. And then as soon as it starts to thaw, the weather gods throw us rain. You're like, really? Don't we deserve a couple of nice days at least, at just warmer temperatures to get going? Oh, never mind. Anyway, I stupidly postponed riding this morning. Lara and I meant to ride at 9:30, and at about 9:10, it was sleeting and it was revolting. And I was like, this is no fun. Let's go out later. And ever since I sent that message, it's now stopped sleeting and it's been okay. But it is meant to warm up through the day, so hopefully, so the day does look like it's meant to rain all day. I'm hoping it might be a bit warmer and we'll get out a little bit later. But I've mucked everyone out and they're all fed, so they're pretty happy. We've had not, I wouldn't say a rough, I can hear Arty playing with the fork in the yard. We've not had a rough few days, but we've had a worrying few days. Keep has 100% started an itch cycle, which is really annoying because we've done so well to get to this point of the year with like little issues. But yeah, sadly, the clipping, I just didn't clip him early enough, and it started, and he's already making holes in his sides, and it's being a bit, not bleeding, but they're very pink and they're raw, and I'm putting some cream on, but to be honest, creams never do anything for Corp, or never have done, even if they've got steroid in them, they don't do anything. Which is really frustrating. I'm hoping as it warms up I can whip some rugs off of him, because that might help too. Oh, typical cold weather. All that happens is, it runs 24/7, doesn't it? Anyway, their 10 out pen is an absolute tip. They've decided to make it into a haylage pen. As you can see, there is just there's haylage everywhere. So we'll just have to watch that. He seems happy in himself though, so I'm hoping if it thaws a bit more I can get him out on grass, and maybe that will help. I always say grass does really help Coop. And then our next problem horse, or see now in this light I do look like I've got a burnt face. Maybe it's this light that does it. Outside I looked alright, but as soon as I come under cover I've got like these red lines all around my face. I look awful. It's Mr. Arts. Now Mr. Arts, he's like I'm a tough nut who can eat anything. It's just always well. That's a bite. Don't bite. Of course you are. Don't bite. Anyway, he obviously had his vaccination on Thursday, and Friday he definitely wasn't quite right. But not in a way that most horses. Often when horses have like a reaction to a vaccine, they get this like really stiff neck. They don't want to move their body. They're just really kind of awkward and uncomfortable, and you can see them looking really like in pain. He didn't have that. However, first of all, I noticed his droppings were different. So he is pretty consistent with his droppings, and they had like a bit of a sheen over them. Like there was this kind of glistening, I mean, it's a bit gross word, but it needed like they had a bit of mucus on them. And I was like, well, that's not normal for him at all. He doesn't ever seem to get a runny stomach or runny droppings from the haylage or ever. Like ever since I've had this horse, which is a long time, never had an upset tummy. And so I was like, okay, that's not quite right. But, you know, he was still eating. He's still eating his breakfast and dinner quite happily. But he just didn't, he was out of character. You could just tell he just wasn't quite right. His gums were quite pale. He was being more fussy with his haylage, which, again, this horse eats any haylage. Like, when the others are being fussy, that's quite standard. But Arty will eat whatever bail's open. And, yeah, he wasn't particularly happy. So I think he must have had a reaction to it, or it certainly made him feel a bit unwell. Thankfully, this morning he seems back to normal, thank God, because I was thinking, why do they always choose a weekend to do this on? So yeah, he seems like his poo's back to normal. He seems to be eating much more happily. Like he was really fussy yesterday with like whatever haylage I gave him. I even opened a new bale for him because I was like, maybe he just really hates this bale, but it wasn't. He just was being really fussy and obviously just didn't want to eat, just didn't feel very well. Whereas this morning he's definitely back on track and happy. Well, as happy as Arty ever is. I mean, this horse is never truly happy, are you? You're always grumpy. So that's good. I'm glad he's feeling better, but poor boy, I feel bad for him that he felt that rubbish. So unlike him, like with Arty, like I knew instantly, I was like, oh my gosh, he's not quite right. But there was kind of nothing to get a vet out for because he was eating, he was drinking, he was going to the loo, he just sort of had to ride it out, bless him. So poor boy, or poor boys, my poor boys, I should say, with Coop's itching, which is going to drive me insane. And I have a feeling Coop is like clockwork, and he did this last Christmas. I'm fairly confident last Christmas he did the same thing. Standard corporal, I guess. So, as you can tell, it's a rather manky evening. I actually came and did the horses a lot later than I normally would. It has been so wet and miserable all day, and I forgot to take Sienna out for a roll in the arena, and she has been dying to roll for the last few days, and I'm really cross that I forgot about it. Anyways, I thought, you know what, even though it's like this right now, revolting, horrible windy, I thought I'd bring her out here. Walked out here, I mean, I do have wellies on, and she got to this and she was like, oh, what's this? Turn around. It'll all be gone in the morning, I know, but it is like it's all underwater. Look at my feet. My arena has so much drainage in it that it never floods. Never. Not even when you had extreme amount of rain does it ever flood. So you can see it's everywhere. It's literally the whole thing is underwater. So I brought her in here and I could just hear her splashing along, and I was like, oh, okay, it's really very wet in here. So yeah, it's actually still frozen underneath, and that's why it's so wet. It hasn't totally defrosted, though the snow has gone, which is good, and we've been replaced with miserable wet weather. And this rug, you're probably thinking, you leave that rug on the fence all the time. I do, because Sienna had it in the sandpit one day, dragged it around the sandpit, and it got absolutely covered in sand. And I'm hoping the rain might wash it off, because it wouldn't brush off or anything. It was really sticky sand. So I'm hoping the rain might do it some good. Anyway, I'm just about to finish mucking out Coop, and then I'm done. Just getting the haylage ready. But yeah, it is a miserable day. I'm not sure whether I actually prefer the cold now. Morning guys, it's Monday. I'm really wet, but it is really mild. Do you know what, I'm not moaning though, because I am enjoying not being cold. It's a nice change, but it is absolutely miserable today. Like, I mean, I don't think it's even 9:30 yet, and I'm soaked. I feel, you know, and with the wind, you know when you get that, like, you feel like you're having a face wash while you're riding because the wind is just throwing all the rain at you. Yeah, so I'm doing that this morning. It cracks me up that you have to laugh about it, because British weather is just something else sometimes. How we can go from, you know, Friday and Saturday still having quite a significant amount of snow on the ground to Monday morning being 12 degrees. It was 12 degrees even at 7:45 this morning. I was like, how's that possible? 12 degrees, pouring with rain, windy. You're like, hey, yeah, we're back here again. But anyway, it's all good. I've got no coat on underneath my waterproof coat that I'm wearing here. I haven't had to wear 2 pairs of socks. It's quite nice really. So everywhere is super wet. No doubt it's going to flood next because after all the snow melting, like I showed you my arena last night in the dark, it was just absolutely like a pond out there. I think it's meant to be quite wet on and off this week, so it's obviously going to be very squelchy underfoot, but looking like it's going to stay pretty mild now for the next sort of 10 days, which is good. It's good really, makes life a bit easier, so yeah. And it's Christmas week obviously, Christmas week, but more importantly, Wednesday is the 21st. Shortest day, well, likewise, I mean, it's not the shortest day, is it? But you know, likewise, it's the shortest day. And we're over that hurdle, guys. We are over that hurdle, and that is good news for us because you know we're heading back in the right direction, and the light will come back to us at some point. So I feel quite pleased about getting over that hurdle. That's a good hurdle. Also, technically, start of winter on Wednesday as well. I feel like we had winter, but never know. Maybe they'd like to give us an early spring or something this year. Anyway, thank you for watching, and yeah, see you guys again soon.